All right. Good afternoon, everybody. This is Yelena Subasic with Massey Consulting. Happy Tuesday, and we're glad to have everybody join us today. Today we'll be talking about dashboards, dimensions, and automation, and how you can increase your financial efficiency, specifically if you're in the sports franchise industry. So we'll start off with the sports CFO, scoring big through dashboards, dimensions, and automation. If at any point you have any questions, feel free to type them in the GoToWebinar chat box that you should see to the right of your screen. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to do them at any point of the presentation, and we'll answer them either at the end or during that time. And I will go ahead and pass this on to Philip. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Yelena. Appreciate that. We are going to dive in now, as Yelena said, to things a sports CFO should need, can need to better operate and run their organization. Specifically, we're going to take a look at dashboards, dimensions, and other automation. So thank you for your time and happy to present this to you today. Hope you find it worthwhile. With that, we'll jump in. Our first thing I want to do is just do a quick introduction. So Massey Consulting, we were founded in 2002. We are ERP resellers first and foremost. So we work with companies like yours to replace their accounting software solutions. We work primarily with Dynamics GP and Sage Intacct. We are comprised of CPAs and accountants. We all have an accounting degree and accounting background. We've been a Sage Intacct Premier Partner since 2013 when they first opened the designation. And we've been President's Club members for a while now, for the last 5 years. And we are also a Microsoft Gold Partner for Dynamics GP. Okay, so much awarded. We've been through a lot of different training. We've been through a lot of implementations. And if you're in the sports industry, you may know the logo on the right-hand side. We started our foray into sports and arena management through the Carolina Hurricanes. They purchased the Sage Intacct solution from us. And that's kind of how we got into sports and arena management accounting. So myself, I am the CPA, president, founder, owner, chief bottle washer, all of those good titles that you would give to someone. I do have a degree in accounting, CPA license holder in North Carolina since 1994, certified on both Sage Intacct and Dynamics GP. And Microsoft SQL certified. Previously was, I'm not currently now, did let that lapse, but some of the younger folks that work on the team now take care of all that good stuff. And I've been a guest speaker at Sage Intacct events as well as NCA CPA events in the past as well. So, and a number of different blogs that I've written that are on NCA CPA and other websites. Okay. So enough about the company and about me. Let's talk about what you're going to take away from today's webinar, why functional reporting processes are critical for a sports franchise, customizing dashboards. We'll talk about dimension-driven financials. We'll take a look at how automation and system integration eliminates manual data entry, and we'll talk overall best practices for maximizing your financial capabilities. Okay. So we'll talk about those things. Sports accounting in particular, why are things relevant for sports accounting? First of all, time and expense management, right? We've got solutions that can help you as possibly your scouts or other team members travel, athletes, players, payroll, multi-entity. In most cases, we're talking about managing the arena, we're talking about managing the team, and there may be a nonprofit that's associated with the organization as well. So a lot of different entities typically. involved, contract management, revenue management, whether it is, if we're talking about contracts for luxury suites and having them pay a year in advance and having to recognize that revenue proratably over a period of time, things of that nature, lease and arena management, vendors, customers, sponsors, merchandise revenue, ticket sales, different ways to track those important trends inside the system. So the key here is one of the things that we're going to talk about is dimensions that are available that can be utilized by organizations that are in sports accounting to be able to better track all the different details and aspects about their business. Okay? So our first topic is going to be about dashboards. So what you want to get from a dashboard, and one of the best presentations that I've seen about dashboards is that you want to get things out of a dashboard that are truly informational and relevant to your organization. And not just informational, but relevant is key as well. So we all know this is a dashboard of a car, right? But I want to point out a couple of differences. So on the far left, in some dashboards, you may be presented with the fact that you have 3/4 of a tank of gas. Okay. So that's good information to know, 3/4 of a tank, but isn't it better, more useful information to know that you can go 325 miles on the gas that you have? So in other words, it's useful to know that you have revenue of $2 million this year, but it's even more useful to know that that is $150,000 more revenue than you had last year this time. Therefore, your revenue is increasing. So 325 is a better piece of information to know than 3/4 of a tank. If you had an estimated arrival time of 10:50, as opposed to knowing you were going 80 miles an hour, then you would have better information in your hands. So again, it's about relevance, not just about information. So the more you can tailor your dashboard to suit your needs and what you're looking for, then the better off you're going to be. So when we talk about building blocks, to me, one of the best building blocks you can have in a dashboard is what's called a performance card. So that when we talk about how many miles remaining on the tank of gas or what our estimated arrival time is, those are performance cards. Very much similar to we are 10% ahead of our revenue from last year at this same time. We have expended less money on food than we had at this point last year while increasing our sales over where we were last year. In order to make our budgetary numbers, in order to get to budget on time, so to speak, here's where we need to have our sales, and here's where we are with our sales, ticket sales to date, for example. So, a performance card is an excellent way to do comparisons inside of a dashboard. And of course, in all dashboards, you're going to want things like reports and graphs, and you're going to want to be able to collaborate on things and have different type of links and lists and those kinds of things. So I'm going to pause the slideshow here real quick. I'm going to jump over to the accounting application that I want to show you. And we are going to be taking a look at the Sage Intacct application. If I bring over a sample Sage Intacct dashboard, let me make this full screen here. So if I bring over a Sage Intacct dashboard, first of all, in Sage Intacct, you can have as many dashboards as you want with as many different objects on them as you want to have. You can have charts, you can have graphs, you can have performance cards, you can have all of these different things that we've talked about, and they can all be tailored to your business. So, for example, here is a chart that I put together with just a little sample information, and this will show you revenue by event. So, in other words, here's the Lightning game, the Bruins game. Here's the Canadiens game, the Maple Leafs, right? The Panthers, the Lightning, here again. So we've got the ability in here to generate dashboards, performance cards, all these other types of objects, charts, and graphs to give you detailed information about your sports organization, even down to an individual game level, or let's say you manage the arena and you've got other types of events, music events, other types of sporting events, things like that. We've got the capability in here to tag at that level and generate a tremendous amount of financial information, put it on a dashboard, and really put it at your fingertips. I'm going to bring in another dashboard here as an example. Here is a consulting firm example, and these are some performance cards. So examples of those performance cards where you're building a better dashboard. So we've got net income month over month. We've got revenue versus plan, and we've got budget versus actual expenditures here for different types of programs or grants, or it could be anything, right? Different types of sporting events. So here, for example, net income month over month, we're up 15% versus last month. Here, revenue versus plan, we're up $80,000 over budget. This one, we're up $55,000 over budget. Okay. So we've got our green thumb, we've got our green face. It could be a green arrow, it could be a green check mark. It could be a red frowny face, unfortunately, or a red thumbs down. Just depends on how you're performing. But all these are instantaneous notifications about how different metrics are performing inside your organization. And a huge benefit of Sage Intacct is that you do have drill down capability. So I can drill into the numbers behind those numbers, and I can continue to drill even further to get down to the individual details that make up those balances. Okay. So not only are they performance cards, but they're not static performance cards. Sage Intacct dashboards are what you want because they give you that ability to drill down deeply into the data that you're looking for. And again, you can have as many dashboards as you wish. We've got a handful of dashboards here. We can change dashboards. We can see different information on these dashboards. It's all real-time data. It's all presented to you concisely right here on your screen. You know, top 5 customers. Let's say top 5 revenue generating events. Lots of different numbers that you can pull from. Here, for example, again, if we go back to this one, we can see the revenue that's been generated and know immediately that the Panthers game, Hurricanes versus Panthers game, generated the most revenue within our organization. You know, maybe this is overall revenue, ticket sales, food, suite rentals, things of that nature. You can break it down into multiple different types of revenue as well. And then, of course, you can have all types of different dashboards in the system also. Okay. Lots of different types here. Here's a P&L of the hockey. Again, this case kind of playing off the Carolina Hurricanes with fabricated numbers. But here's revenue by tickets, by merchandise, food and beverage, non-alcohol, alcohol, cost of revenue. So we're looking here at P&Ls for the hockey events based on the division the opponent is in. So tremendous amount of information that you can get out of Sage Intacct simply by configuring the system in the correct manner. Okay? And we'll talk about that in a little while as well. Okay. All right. So let's jump back to our PowerPoint. Oh, I hit play from beginning. Sorry. Come down here. Okay. So one of the things that drives a dashboard, or the main thing that drives a dashboard, is the concept of a dimension. What is a dimension, you might ask? Well, a dimension is essentially a tag. So it's none of the things that you see here. It's not the height, the width, the length. It's not another universal dimension, whether it's outer space or something fictional. We're not transporting you to a new dimension here with this. But a dimension is essentially, in Sage Intacct, a tag. And a tag can be applied to any number of different things. It could be a department. It could be a division. It could be an event that you might be having. It could be a location. It could be a legal entity. Could be a project that you have underway, a conference, marketing conference that you might be going to and tracking expenditures. Any number of things can be a dimension. And dimensions are important because they allow you to simplify your chart of accounts. Right? No longer do you need 4,000-100-20, 4,000-110-20, 4,000-120-20. You break these things apart into separately maintained dimension values that can be utilized in different ways inside your data entry for transactions, giving you the ability to track your business like you never have before, and giving you the ability to streamline your reporting and save tons and tons of time within your organization. So a dimension is quite simply a tag that you apply to transactions. Now, a good accounting system is going to give you a number of different tags. QuickBooks, for example, is generally limited to one tag. A system like Intacct, Sage Intacct, will give you an ability to have 8 to 9 to 10 tags that you can use on transactions. So you can really enter information at the point of data entry that will give you a lot of robust reporting on the backside. But one of the questions there is, why do dimensions matter? Well, dimensions matter because they allow you, first and foremost, to go from just a standard everyday income statement to profitability by event or revenue by category with just a few clicks of the mouse. So you can take a look, as I showed you on that dashboard, revenue by different opponent as far as NHL revenue is concerned. And it could be exactly the same thing, no matter what your sport is. Baseball opponents, football, basketball, soccer, any teams could be involved in that. Learn which of the event types you host really have a positive ROI. And that was one of the big questions of the hurricanes. What are the events that we host that bring the best return on investment to our organization? If we have country music concerts, are they better, per ticket profit than, let's say, a Harlem Globetrotters basketball game, or perhaps a college basketball game, or an NHL game? Where are we really getting the best return on our investment? And we're able to answer that question with a system like the Sage Intacct. Quickly determine which product lines are profitable. Here we're talking merchandise, food, ticket sales, etc. Look at those different product lines, profit centers, and determine which of those are the most profitable. Find out how much it really costs you to convert the arena. To go from, say, an NHL game where there's ice to a basketball game with the wood floor to a a monster truck event where, maybe dirt, or maybe a motocross event where there's dirt and hills and such. Easily produce reports for your board about how certain funds were spent. So going back in and looking at food expenditures and things of that nature. And then manage your expenditures, for example, by athlete or executive. So if you want to utilize an employee dimension, right, and capture your people and tag transactions to your people, whether it's payroll or certain trips, even managing, scouting expenses by person is something that you ideally want to be able to do inside of your accounting software to get that reporting. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about dimensions, and I'm going to end the slideshow here, and we're going to go back to one of our demo environments, and I'm going to go to reports here, and let's go to setup. So here's an example of some of the different dimensions: customers, departments, employee types, employees, engagements, events, items, locations, vendors, and warehouses. These can be renamed to be anything you need them and want them to be. Okay. Also included in the dimensions is the entities. So if you do have multiple entities that you're working with, we do have the ability to track the different entities. And if you'll notice here, for example, we've got a holding company, an entertainment company, another holding company, and a hockey company, and a food catering company, right? So we have a number of different entities there that we can track by using dimensions. So, but if we come back here, I do want to focus on the event dimension, and this is one I've sort of hinted to previously. You'll see a list here of different events that have taken place in the arena. A Tim McGraw concert, a Katy Perry concert, Disney on Ice, and then some Hurricane hockey games down here. And if we go a little further, we can probably see some basketball games that have taken place as well. Okay, so if we take a look at one of these, I'm going to go into this dimensional value and I'm going to edit it. One of the most fantastic things about an accounting system, or one of the things you can look for in an accounting system that really does add to your reporting bottom line, is the ability to not only use some dimensions to tag transactions, but to be able to customize what information is in that dimension. And what I mean by that is, for example, here on this Carrie Underwood concert, I can come down here, and these are fields that we added to this particular screen. And for example, event type, what kind of event is this? What's the event date here? And then there's other fields here, for example, like a trip number for tracking expenses and things of that nature. If we go over here to the sports tab, we've added not only the tab, all of these tabs, not only have we added those, but we've added a number of fields on each tab to be able to track more granular information about who the opponent was, what season was it in, tournament games versus not, what kind of sporting events, etc. If we go to concerts, then you can see here we have a music genre drop down as to whether it's country, gospel, pop, etc. And then is it a solo artist versus a group, duo, those choices. And if it's a family event, what kind of family event, and then family label here, which would be the originating organization. So all of these fields were created custom inside this particular instance of the accounting system. And what they do is they allow us to create these dimensional groups. So if I go into event dimension groups, you can see here that I have said my country concerts, for example. So I made a group for country concerts where music genre equals country. I've made one for different types of concerts. I've made one for Disney events, Marvel events. I've made one for different NHL opponents. So I can say here, if we edit this one, where the members, and here where hockey opponent equals, and then I stipulated the different opponents that belong in the Atlantic Division. What that allows me to do is to go over to General Ledger, to financial reports, and to create P&Ls by, for example, basketball, ACC versus non-ACC opponents, one division versus another. Here's a P&L by event type, and here's a P&L by hockey by division. So if I take a look at this and I run this one, and let me backdate this to, I think, 2016. Let me pick an ending period here. Say okay. So here we have, and granted, not a lot of detailed information here, but you can see how we have the different divisions in the list, and we're going to pull in revenue for these different divisions, right? And different hockey divisions. Same thing for event type. And let me put in what should be a good date here and say okay. And now we're looking at concerts versus sporting events, types of events. So generating this much money for concerts, this much money for sporting events, right? So imagine all of our different food information, all of these different things are showing up on here. We're able to break it down by type of hockey opponent. We're able to break it down by type of event that you're having, and really give your organization a tremendous amount of reporting power just based on those dimensions that we've created along with those different groups. Okay. So then one of the other big keys for sports CFOs having an accounting system that's going to work for you is automation. All right, so how much time, ask yourself these questions. How much time are you spending manually entering data? And then how many third-party or outside applications are you using to manage your data? All right. The more systems you have in place, the more Excel spreadsheets you have, the more manual duplicity that you have, the longer the more chance for errors you're going to have, and the longer your close is going to take, which just is a frustrating thing for most accountants. Right? So why automate? Or what should you automate? You can automate your approval processes through workflows. You can automate system integrations. You can streamline your reporting through things like dashboards or even email delivery. Bottom line is you can increase your ROI and boost your business productivity. So if we pause this for just one more second here, I do want to take a look at a couple of things. So first of all, if we go back and we take a look at our dashboards, if you were tracking hockey operations within your organization, you could create a dashboard similar to this one, and you would have immediate access to your P&L, right, by division. So here's our P&L by hockey division here. That I was searching for earlier, just right here on my dashboard. Not something I have to go look for, not something I have to chase down. It's right here at my fingertips, along with all of these different performance cards up here at the top as well. Right? So a lot of things here can be put at your fingertips that really automate that dissemination of information so that you don't have to print your reports. You don't have to save them as PDFs. You don't have to put together a big packet and send it out, whether through email or actually printed and sent through interoffice, things like that. You've got the ability to load your dashboards here so that you don't have to stop what you're doing. This information is automatically presented in your dashboards. One of the other keys of automation is to be able to tie in your systems. So whether you're looking to tie in, let's say, Ticketmaster into your accounting system for ticket sales, whether you're looking to tie in a food vendor in for food sales, alcohol management, whatever it may be, Sage Intacct in particular has an extremely robust API. You've got a lot of capabilities for integrating third-party systems into Sage Intacct, and you will have then that ability to utilize data from multiple systems into Sage Intacct so that you can get all of your reporting out of one place, but yet you're not spending a lot of time rekeying data. You're not spending a lot of time, pushing data into the system manually. You use the technology that's available and connect the systems together. Okay. And last but not least, Sage Intacct does have an approvals capability in it, so that you can have purchasing approvals. You can set up workflows for that. You can set up different types of workflows around general ledger information. Just a lot, again, there of different ways where you can set up these approvals and other processes so that you can help automate some of that. You're not pushing as much manual paper. You are indeed utilizing technology to work that approval process based on some methodology that you have created. Okay. All right. So where does that take us? So big picture here, how can you start scoring big? First of all, with an integrated, automated system, you're going to have all of your data in one place. You've got the ability, as I said, to pull data in from, say, Ticketmaster, pull data in from Cisco for food vendors. Process your data automatically and have it all wind up inside of a system like a Sage Intacct, where you can really do a tremendous amount of reporting. Sage Intacct is built on a best-in-class philosophy and promotes the idea of importing data in from other systems. And then start tracking those trends with a dashboard. You've got all that information in the system. You've brought everything in together. You've got your dimensions set up to be able to manage events and divisions and departments and all these other aspects of your organization, multiple legal entities. You've got it all set up to be able to track that information and put that information on your dashboard so that it is right there at your fingertips. Okay. For example, check and see if one opponent comes to town, you generate more merchandise revenue, right? Your biggest adversary comes into town, and they come in and they're in town, they're playing a game. The people just flock to the store, and make those purchases during that game so that they can show the rival that, hey, we are supporting our team, right? Do they generate more merchandise revenue just because of that rivalry? All right, so now we're down to the question part. I don't believe I've seen many come through here. I think most of them we've answered. You can have multiple dimensions inside of a Sage Intacct system. For example, there are other software systems out there. Some have dimensional capability, some don't. But Sage Intacct in particular does not limit the number of dimensions that you can have. So a tremendous amount of reporting power there. And question came up about dashboards, but we did talk about the fact that you can have unlimited dashboards. However, we didn't talk about the fact that you can push those dashboards out to users. So we are on a web-based system. You can push those dashboards out to end users, even those that aren't entering data into Sage Intacct. Perhaps you have some executives or board members or scouts that may want to see certain types of information or certain expenses related to them, overall profitability for board members, things of that nature. And we've also had a few organizations that have set aside a what we call an employee user for their auditor to be able to see reports and information as well. So, all right. So I think that about covers it. I do appreciate everyone's time. Thank you very much. You see my contact information here on the screen. If you need anything further from us, have any questions about how your sports or arena organization could report better and automate more using a system like Sage Intacct, please don't hesitate to reach out. Love to talk to you about it. If it's a good fit, it's a good fit. If it's not, it's not. And we'll be very honest with you about that. So give me a call or shoot me an email if you need anything. Again, thank you for today, for attending today, or if you're viewing this later on the internet, thank you for viewing. Take care.